Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us. This is News Channel Nebraska. My name's Eric McKay. Let's take a look at our top headlines today. Beginning with the weather, Nebraska getting another patch of rough winter weather this week. Snowplows in this video in Fairbury fueling up for what figures to be an eventful few days around the state. Expected snow totals by Thursday morning could be as high as 7 inches. It's cold and getting colder. Temperatures were hovering in the single digits on Monday, but that's expected to drop, with many areas in the region under extreme cold warnings until Tuesday, meaning wind chills could make the temperature feel like it's south of 30 degrees below zero. Meanwhile, a snow emergency originally scheduled to expire on Monday being extended in Grand Island as they use caution with the snow continuing to fall. Grand Island city officials saying they've extended their snow emergency another 24 hours. They're reminding residents that during a snow emergency, vehicles can be towed at the owner's expense if they're parked or stalled out on the snow routes. The city says the streets are marked with signage, but if you're unsure, you can check the city's website for a map of those routes. With the winter weather in full effect, crews working hard to clean up the city streets. Ryan Valenta has the story of one department in central Nebraska using some first-time methods and products this week.
The Hastings Streets Department is preparing its crews for the third snowfall of the season, which is expected to dump more than 3 inches of snow in much of the central Nebraska area and include well below zero wind chills for the next 3 days. The unique combination of winter weather has Hastings snow crews ready to use some different methods, including a new de-icing product to keep the roads as safe as possible.
And this will be the first time that looks like we're going to be moving into residentials. It's a judgment call to move into residentials. We think we can make the streets safer and clear that snow.
An inch of snow fell on Hastings overnight into Monday, and crews are already working, salting and sanding roads in anticipation of 3 to 5 more inches of snow overnight into Tuesday. The Hastings Streets Department and over 24 snow removal vehicles are moving into residential areas for the first time in 3 snows due to several factors.
We think it's a combination of snow buildup from the previous storms, and then we think this one's going to end up pushing us over 5 inches, which is quite a bit of snow, and it gets hard for some vehicles to safely drive through that, so we'll get that snow off of there. That's our job.
The new product the city has been experimenting with this winter season is called Black Magic, a new type of salts that can melt snow and ice at a lower temperature than salt and sand can.
Our salt, we can get around 15 degrees for temperature and still get some melting. This goes down to a -5 degrees. We used it in downtown earlier in the 2 snowstorms, and concentrated problem areas like 42nd Street just north of Walmart where there's a steep slope there, so we put down some of that Black Magic there. We'll keep experimenting that, but we're cautious with that and we're careful with how much we use that because it costs 3 times as much as salt.
Reilly says the plan is for snow crews to first clear snow emergency routes and arterial streets, then they will move into residential areas to clear off side streets. Hastings residents are encouraged to call the Hastings Streets Department with any snow removal concerns at 402-461-2341.
To give Hastings snow crews more space to work, the city has issued a snow emergency, which is in effect from now until Wednesday at noon. Wind chills are expected to be at least 20 below zero for much of the central Nebraska area until midday on Wednesday. Reporting in Hastings, Ryan Valenta, News Channel Nebraska.
In other news, it's been a nearly yearly event for Nebraska lawmakers trying to figure out ways to refine public education financing. Doug Kennedy has more.
This year's version is LB 303, sponsored by Seward Senator Jana Hughes. Other senators have worked with Hughes on the bill during the past year's interim. One of those lawmakers, Myron Dorn of Adams.
The maximum levy now is $1.05. What her bill does is, as we lower that, and in a projection for this one this year, lowering it 3 cents of levy to the maximum of $1.02, now the state will pick up that funding. That 2 cents of levy or 3 cents of levy drop is about $60 million, so that would be part of the funding. Then her bill, though, I call it as a broader, longer term one. It would be as the state is able to fund more property taxes than this maximum levy. Instead of $1.05, $1.03, it could maybe there's triggers in there where it could go down to 85, 75, and so on.
The bill's overall goal is to maintain the school funding formula, but have the state of Nebraska pick up more of the tab instead of property taxpayers. Its projected state support under the bill would increase nearly $113 million over the next 2 budget years. Foundation aid per student would also increase. Recently, a legislative committee held a public hearing on the bill. Dorn says the state's preliminary budget will be issued Tuesday as lawmakers face finalizing a new biennial budget this session.
If the state goes down 10 cents of levy and it takes $225 million to do that, and the state doesn't or isn't able to the next year because of deficits or whatever, it now will allow the schools to go back up. So it puts the onus back on the state. Yes, we're going to supply this property tax relief, but if for some reason the state's not able to, then the schools can, I call it, go back to where they were before or whatever. And that's something that I think many people, why they don't want us to get rid of TIOSA is because the state hasn't always lived up to their responsibility.
Reaction to LB 303 from area schools has drawn a generally favorable response. Dorn said if the state of Nebraska can find the funding, he's comfortable with the design of the bill. From Beatrice, Doug Kennedy, News Channel, Nebraska.
Meanwhile, a Nebraska proposal would fund housing for domestic abuse survivors. The unicameral considering a bill that would provide nearly $1 million to help survivors of domestic abuse and sex trafficking pay for emergency housing. Recent research shows 1.4 million Nebraskans have reported some form of domestic or sexual violence in their lifetimes. Advocates say lack of access to safe and affordable housing is a primary barrier for survivors of sex trafficking and intimate partner violence who are trying to escape abusive relationships.
So these survivors are having to weigh out, do I stay in an unsafe situation or do I leave and potentially become homeless, potentially have my children become homeless?
Nebraska's passed legislation in the past designed to help victims of domestic violence, but Baer says Senator Elliott Bostar's LB 78 goes further by bridging the cost and social service gap that's been left in the past.
These are also funds that are going to be provided to people who are working with victim service agencies who are doing extensive case management support to help ensure that there's sustainability and that people are going to be able to support themselves after they have this initial help.
Critics of plans like the one proposed in LB 78 have said they worry about people's ongoing dependence on the state for financial help. The bill set for a hearing in front of the legislature's Retirement Systems Committee on Friday. We may have an example of federal DOGE cutbacks hitting close to home. The website for the USDA's Meat Animal Research Center near Clay Center lists no federal employees currently. The staff were listed on the website just last week. Meanwhile, University of Nebraska President Dr. Jeff Gold told university staff in a letter Monday that the Department of Governmental Efficiency sent termination letters to USDA employees last week, adding that those firings likely would impact the center, also known as MARC. The website still listed openings for internships this summer. MARC was established in 1964. The USDA says it was founded to research issues in the beef, sheep, and swine industries. And finally, a Valentine family making school history at state wrestling. Casey Wannenberg introduces us to the first brother-sister duo from the town to make it to state.
Seeing police cars and fire trucks rolling through town usually means trouble, but this time it's a celebration, a send-off for Valentine's female high school wrestler headed to the state tournament.
I'm really scared.
Freshman Regan Eggert says one person
It just helps me a lot.
who's helping her calm her nerves
We're only 17 months apart.
is her big brother Ronan.
First time going to state, yes.
The sophomore will also be competing at the state wrestling tournament this week for the first time.
I'm really excited to go to state with her especially.
I don't think a lot of people get to experience that, and I'm happy that we do.
Here's video from Valentine's Media Day a few months ago, where you can see the siblings' personalities shine through.
They're kind of the same person in the way they act, but Ronan, I would say, is like you're more shy, reserved, and Regan is like the most outgoing person you'll ever meet. Yeah.
Marcus Nelson is the head coach of the Valentine High School wrestling team, where the Eggerts are making school history.
It's pretty cool to have a brother-sister combo going for the first time from Valentine.
Ronan has been wrestling since first grade, but Regan, she only started 2 years ago.
I remember seeing Ronan like being on bottom, and I was like, just get up, like it's not that hard. And he's like, it's harder than what you think, Regan. And I was like, I'll just show you when I start wrestling.
That sibling rivalry has fueled them both.
It's good sibling rivalry.
But so has
Keep up, Regan.
the sibling support.
I was very proud of my sister when she made it, especially since she's a freshman and competing with almost all older girls. It's a pretty good thing to do.
I think Ronan was under some pressure because they were like, oh, your sister's going to state, Ronan. You got to make it. And he did, and he actually placed higher than me, so I guess that was him one-upping me in a sort of sense.
Well, I always got to carry everything for you.
Bro.
Words from a caring, competitive sibling that are a victory both on and off the mat. In Valentine, Casey Wannenberg, News Channel, Nebraska.
And you can stay up to date with the very latest by following us online. Head to newschannelnebraska.com, click on the News tab. There you can also follow us on X, like us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. This is News Channel Nebraska.